Hello and welcome to our broadcast, brought to you by LakeCAM, Lakeville's Community Access Channel. My name is Joanne, and today I will be interviewing Brian Day for the open seat on the Board of Selectmen. This position has garnered a lot of interest. We have 6 individuals who have filed papers for consideration for the position. We have prepared a few questions to help the citizens of Lakeville learn more about the candidates. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer the same questions. In addition, we encourage voters to attend the Selectmen Candidate Forum scheduled for Wednesday, October 16th at 7 p.m. in the Great Ponds Gallery of the Lakeville Library. The forum will also be available on LakeCAM's government channel, Comcast 9 or Verizon 31, and on vimeo.com/LakeCAM. Welcome, Brian, and thank you very much for meeting with me today. The first question is, would you take a moment to share your background and why you are interested in running for the open seat of the Board of Selectmen?
I'd be happy to. First, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity to be here tonight. I know there's a lot of work getting all of us together and getting all these scheduled, so thank you for your time and for everybody at home watching us. It's really exciting to be here. I hope that everybody will consider me as a candidate for our seat. And a little bit about me, I'm originally from Rainham. I grew up there, a family of 4, come from a working class family where working with our hands was very respected. At a very young age, hard work was respected, rewarded. It was something that was taught to us to say, you know what, if something's worth doing, it's probably going to be hard. So don't feel bad if you get into something and you feel nervous and you're not sure. Just go ahead and do it. You're probably doing something that is meaningful. Grew up there, had another, my extended family was also a bunch of tradesmen. We had carpenters and nurses and machinists and all sorts of stuff. So I like to think that I've learned a little bit of everything in my time growing up there. Myself, I actually ended up going towards the computer technology spectrum, a little different, but also kind of a place where I could learn and thrive on my skill sets, where it all started when my parents bought this half-working computer and said, hey, we're going to get a computer for the house. And I think they found it at some yard sale somewhere. And it turned into me trying to learn, how do I fix this thing just to keep it operating? And that turned into just a lifetime of understanding how things work, breaking things to make them work again, to understand how they go. And that just turned into the career that I'm in now. So it all starts going back to Taunton Municipal Lighting Plant. I worked for their ISP for a time doing phone support for them. Then I graduated from there into what probably was my most interesting experience to date, which was working for the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. I spent 5 years working for them. I was a systems administrator for them, where we essentially were helping support the entire state and all of our emergency response operations. So set up an electronic, what we called a emergency operations center system that all of our towns and federal agencies could essentially log into and exchange information during events. I was there for periods of many different blizzards, Boston marathons, we were always operational. I was there, unfortunately, for the 9/11 attacks. I was there for the DNC convention in 2004, which was a very security-focused convention, as it was the first one after the attacks. It was just a very amazing opportunity to see what it takes to get a town like Lakeville the resources they need when there's blizzards or floods or other unexpected events. And it was really a life-changing experience being there, and I still keep in contact with some of those folks that really enjoyed my time there. I then moved and spent my next 5 years working for the Commonwealth at what used to be called the Information Technology Division. Since it's gone through a rebranding, I believe. I think it's called Mass IT now. Okay. And that's where I spent time working on a number of statewide systems supporting dozens of state agencies for tens of thousands of our employees there. Another fabulous time learning how to work with limited resources, doing budgeting, having to learn, hey, we went through a period of time where we kept having our budget trimmed by 2 or 3%, and how do we offer the same or better services every year with less money? How are we going to do it? And trying to find inventive ways to do that time and time again. During my time there, I was also recognized as one of less than 150 people worldwide by the Microsoft Corporation as what they called a most valuable professional, which essentially meant you're a leader in your technology field. You go out of your way to help people. You're bridging communities together to help people learn this technology and get it out there, which was a very humbling experience. Which actually then transitioned into my next role, which is with the Microsoft Corporation today. And in my role there, I've been there for almost 10 years now. May will be 10 years, so I really have enjoyed my time there and changed roles a few times. But it's been a career there where it's always working with customers and understanding their needs, and then going back to our folks internally and saying, here's what the customer needs, here's what we're hoping to deliver, but there's a gap here, guys, and how do we go about bridging this and delivering something that the customer is happy with while still attaining our goals. And it's afforded me an amazing opportunity to travel the nation, travel worldwide, and meet with customers of small sizes all the way up to Fortune 500 companies, and get into rooms and talk to them about what are your challenges, what are we as a company doing well, what are we not doing as well, what would you like from us, and then working with them to find solutions. And very often it's between teams that they might not have the same goal. Even within the same company, different business units might have different goals and things they're trying to achieve, and trying to find that commonality and understand what are the things we need to deliver to help them reach them and make them more successful in what their mission might be, whatever it is. So, I mean, there's probably a bit more information that folks want to learn about me, but that's
that's you in a nutshell.
It's a bit of a large nutshell, but it is. I like to think of myself as someone who, when I get involved, I dive in, I try to learn everything, and for the things that I don't know, because we can't know everything, it's impossible, I'm more than happy to reach out to other people that are specialists in their field and draw on their knowledge and try to figure out, what are the options before us.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
The next question is, why do you think voters should consider you the best candidate for the position?
Well, I don't want to go about and say anything negative about the other ones. I think we have an amazing array of candidates in front of us to choose from. Even if I was just on the voting side alone this time, I'd be thrilled to see all the different choices we have. There's a lot of town and country service that is made up in that pool, and I thank all of them for that. Thank you for all of your time. But I would like to say that, as a candidate, I think I'm someone that may come in and give you a new option, a new choice. I've spoken with a lot of folks out in the streets and around town, just kind of, what are your concerns? What do you like? What don't you like about, the options in front of you? And a lot of people have said, we wouldn't mind somebody that maybe doesn't have, some of the history here, because there's no opportunity for allegiances. I don't have an axe to grind. I'm not looking to right what somebody might perceive as the wrongs of decisions past. I'm just looking to get in, work with Selectwoman Fabian, work with Selectman Powderly, and get work done. I'm going to come in with essentially what I would consider an unbiased mind. I'm going to look at the facts before us, weigh the evidence of all the choices we have to make, and essentially put things through a process in my head and say, the things that we look at, they have to run through certain criteria or tests, if you want to call them. Is it good for the town? Does it maintain the town's character? Is it financially responsible? And sometimes that means investing money to avoid bigger costs down the road. When sometimes nobody wants to spend another dollar. We all have budgets to live by, but if spending that dollar means saving 10 or 15 down the road, we should consider it. So hopefully they'll find that I'm an unbiased person. I'm willing to do research, build the bridges, and look at things with an open mind.
Okay. Can you elaborate on any prior experience that you have serving the town, and how would this experience help you in this position?
Well, it's an interesting question for me. So my wife and I have only been in town 3 years so far. So this would actually be my first, this is my first chance at running for something in town. Okay. So I've not had the opportunity to serve on any boards yet to this time. I've had a number of folks come up to me over the past couple of years after talking at town meetings and such, saying, we really wish you'd get involved, it'd be great. And, up until this point, I've kind of been a little like, I'm new to town, people might not like that, but I'm over that now. I think it's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. And while I've not served in any sort of capacity in the town yet, which I'm looking forward to doing so hopefully by November 6th, I think my experience at the state level certainly has a lot of parallels to what we need at the local level. And I hope people will take that into consideration when they think about me as a candidate.
Okay. What do you think are the most pressing issues facing the town of Lakeville today, and what would you do if you were on the board to help address them?
There's a lot of hot topics right now. Everybody has what they feel is their big topic that's going on, so maybe I'll hit a couple of them if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's a lot of debate, obviously, about all the new cannabis-based businesses right now. It's a new market. Everybody's a little uncertain on what's going to happen. To date, I would say I believe the current and former Board of Selectmen members have been relatively respectful of the process that the Commonwealth has set up for establishing these businesses. And I would continue with kind of that slow pace approach, I believe, where I'm personally not against the businesses being here. The Commonwealth passed the law. It is now a legal product in business to be involved with here. And I think we should play by the rules as much as the businesses are coming forward and playing by the rules. So I certainly don't want to say, hey, let's go and build a community host agreement with 40 different companies and just see what happens. Like that's silly. We wouldn't do that for anything, whether it's a nail salon or a liquor store, any business. But these host community agreements also give us a short-term period to look at how did it do. I forget the specific number. I think it's a 5-year expiration where, we could do a few of them for now, and 5 years from now, if it didn't work for the town, whatever we define as work being, or we decide that the business wasn't a good community partner, we don't have to renew it. We can say, thank you for the opportunity, but it's not something we're interested in moving forward with. To get onto a different topic, there's been a lot of conversation on building in town. There's folks that are saying, hey, we see a lot of kind of these dense housing units going up. What's happening? I think of Lakeville as being a white picket fence and single family housing town. Are we losing our identity? Are we changing? What's going on? And I think one of the things that doesn't get out enough is that the Commonwealth has established law that says you have to have at least 10% affordable housing in your town, right? If we don't abide by Chapter 40B and get to that quota, we essentially lose some form of control over these building projects coming in, right? We have some say, but not as much as you could if we were at that 10%. So, I mean, it's something that we have limited control over. I believe with the projects that are going on now or have been approved, we're going to be right at that 9 or 10% level, which hopefully will give us the capability to go to the state and say, hey, we're there, right? Can we come to an agreement that we've met our quota? And that's good, and that's fine. I mean, the people that are living there are residents too, right? They're all part of the community. They're going to schools, they're coming to our businesses, they're all supporting us, and I welcome in here, and we all can learn something from everybody that's in town. So I don't think people should get too flustered over those. And when we get to the 10%, we can then take another look at how we continue going forward. I don't want to put a high rise in every corner of the town, because one of the reasons we moved here was we liked the rural nature of the town. I drive down here through winter and it feels like a New England postcard, for crying out loud. I mean, we want to keep that.
Yes, it does.
So, but let's find a way to do it smartly, right? So when these projects come in, I don't think the default answer should be no. I mean, the default answer should be, does it make sense for the town? Do we have a need? We have a lot of residents in town that perhaps are looking to downsize but want to stay in town. Where are they going to move? They might not be able to afford to stay in their single family home with tax rates and such. So give them the opportunity to move into a smaller place, but stay here. So they can keep using the Council on Aging facility, so they can still be near their families and go to their kids' soccer games. Like, I don't want to force people to move out of town simply because we've not provided them with housing that is affordable to them. Okay. So I'll stick to those two for now.
Okay, that's fine. That's good.
I tend to be wordy, so I apologize.
That's okay. What role do you see the board playing in preserving the character of the town of Lakeville, and what should we continue to preserve, and what do we need to change?
So, touching on some of the points I've made before, but I think they're important to bring up again. The board, I believe, sets kind of a direction for the town, but we then look at our open space committee, our conservation committee, and all the other ones in town that are full of great people doing hard work, to look at them and say, does this make sense for us? Where are we trending? Even though I'm only a candidate at this point, I've already gone and set up time with some of our town department heads, because I want to hear their state of the union, so to say. Are our school systems truly overloaded, or is that a perhaps overstated thing? Are we going to bring in these housing projects and then we suddenly have class sizes that are 45 kids? We don't want to do that. So I think the board really needs to kind of set the course, but everybody else is who we're going to lean on for their expertise to say, this makes sense for the town, this doesn't make sense for the town, and weigh those options and trust that they know what they're doing and make an informed opinion.
Okay. Is there anything that you specifically feel should be preserved or changed?
Well, I think a lot of what we have is great. I love the downtown area. I wouldn't mind it being a little bit more accessible, perhaps some sidewalks in a few places, so we can get to things like, so we live down off of Montgomery Street, and if we want to go to the Ted Williams camp, we're just walking on the side of the road with nothing between us and whatever speeding vehicle goes by. So I think there's some opportunities in town where we have a lot of great resources, but we can make them more accessible to folks. So if you want to walk your kids on Halloween for trick-or-treating, you've got a safer option to do so. I think there's also opportunity where maybe there's things in town we could look at adding. I've had folks that say, I would love an off-leash dog park. maybe that's something we look into. I don't know, anything, any idea, anything the residents want to suggest, I think is fair game, and we can look into those things. Farmers market. I know there's been things spoken about perhaps trying to start one up at the Ted Williams camp. Great idea. Look at how successful the 15th annual Arts and Music Festival was this last year. There's plenty of people looking to come and show all their amazing wares off. It'd be great if we had a place to house them and do that. So I think what we have is great. Keep the character like it is as much, but can we identify certain projects that would just add to it and make people want to stay here even longer?
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add that you feel is important to share with the town?
Well, if we're wrapping up, I just want to say thank you very much for everybody that's helped get me to this point here. It was great meeting with people in front of Baldy's and Savas and all the dance moms that came to our support. And it's just kind of amazing to see how much support is out there that when you start off, you're like, well, I got my 2 neighbors, now what? So it was an amazing opportunity. If the folks haven't gone through it, you essentially have to go through and get 54 plus or more registered voter signatures. And it was amazing going through that process and learning things from everybody, all sorts of different people of different means and lifestyles and such. And you all had really good things to say. I'd like to be the person to take the opportunity of moving those ideas forward and presenting them to the different town committees. I'm going to bring what I believe is an unbiased and rational thought process to the board. I'm not saying there's not one there now, but as a third member of a 3-person board, I think it's important that that's the kind of thinking we have. And I hope I can bring my experience both at the local, the state, and the private sector world to bear. I'm looking forward to doing it. I hope we're successful, and I thank everybody for their opportunity.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Brian, for your thoughts and your comments. I know the voters of Lakeville appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. And I'm going to remind everyone that the Selectmen Candidates Forum is going to be held on Wednesday evening, October 16th, inside the Great Ponds Gallery at the Lakeville Public Library. And it's also the last day that you can register to vote for the special town election, which is being held on Tuesday, November 5th. And I will see you all at the polls.